can continue in his constitutional occupational duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. This was also instructed by the Lord himself to Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. Go on fighting, but keep me within your mind. That should be the motto of every honest person seeking perfection in Krishna consciousness. In this connection, Queen Suniti advised her son that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhritya Vatsala, which indicates that he is very kind to his devotees. She said, You came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee. Queen Suniti also stressed that the process of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not easy, but is sought after by great sages who are very advanced in spiritual realization. Queen Suniti also indicated by her instruction that Dhruva Maharaj was only a small child, 5 years old, but it was not possible for him to purify himself by the way of karma kand. But by the process of bhakti yoga, even a child less than 5 years old or anyone of any age can be purified. That is the special significance of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, she advised him not to accept worship of the demigods or any other process, but simply to take to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the result would be all perfection. As soon as one places the Supreme Personality of Godhead within one's heart, everything becomes easy and successful. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So I'll just start with Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Avadvareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, like we are seeing the Dhruva Charitra. So in this, like okay, we already know King Uttanapada. He has like he had two wives, Suniti and Suruchi. So Suniti had a son called Dhruva. Okay, Dhruva want to sit on his mother's lap, sorry, father's lap. So at the time, the stepmother is denying that, like, okay, she's saying, no, you have to take the birth from my womb. Then only, like, you get a approval to sit in your father's lap. So you for that like you have to take rebirth like in my womb. For that you need to do like a lot of pious things. So that is how like she's denying Dhruva like to enter to sit on the lap of Uttanapada. So then immediately like a Dhruva got angry and like he is approaching mother Suniti. Then Suniti is instructing, only I am unable to fulfill anything. Like only Lord Vishnu or like a Shri Krishna can fulfill whatever you desire. Like okay, because uh, Dhruva Maharaj, this incident like I made Dhruva Maharaj to approach a kingdom or like a get a kingdom bigger than his father. So that is what his motive now. Like so, that is how he's approaching his mother. Like a man, then mother says, "Okay, you need to approach the spiritual master, and like a which then he will guide you like a to get to the Supreme Lord, then Supreme Lord will grant you the wish. Like that is how you can achieve. At this moment, I am helpless. So that is how like she is communicating here. In the next sloka, I request Vrishabhanu Mataji, can you please recite the sloka?
Hare Krishna, that was Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Nanyam tatah padmapalashalochanaat dukhachidam te mrugayami kachana yo mrugyate hastagruhita padmaya shriye tarairaranga vimrugdha manaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prasanti Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Translation by Prabhupada ki Jai. My dear Dhruva, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods, such as Lord Brahma, seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune. But the goddess of fortune herself, with a lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Yeah. Kripamai Mataji, can you please read the purport?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Purport by Prabhupada ki Jai. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
Suniti pointed out herewith that the benediction received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that received from the demigods are not in equal level. Foolish persons say that no matter whom one worships, one get the same. But actually, that is not the fact. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that benedictions received from the demigods are all temporary and are meant for the less intelligent.
Hare Krishna.
Benediction is a spiritual benediction. Since spirit soul is an eternal, it is also said in Bhagavad Gita that only persons who have lost their intelligence they go to worship the demigods. Therefore, Suniti told her son that she should not seek the mercy of the demigods, but should directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to mitigate his misery. Prabhuji, some disturbance are coming.
Yes, Mataji. Vrishabhanu
Yeah, I
Mataji,
think.
kindly keep your mic on mute, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Material
Yes.
opulences are controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his different potencies and specifically the goddess of fortune. Therefore, those who are after those who are after material opulences seek the pleasure of mercy or pleasure or mercy of the goddess of fortune. Even the highly placed demigods worship the goddess of fortune, but the goddess of fortune, Mahalakshmi herself, is always seeking the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone, therefore, who takes the worship, takes to the worship of the Supreme Lord, automatically receives the blessings of the goddess of fortune. At this stage of life, Dhruva Maharaja was seeking material opulences, and his mother advised rightly that even for material opulences, it is better to worship not the demigods but the Supreme Lord. Although a pure devotee does not seek benediction from the Supreme Lord for material advancement, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita that pious persons go to the Lord even for material benedictions. A person who goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for material gain is gradually purified in association with the Supreme Lord. Thus, he becomes free from all material desires and is elevated to the platform of spiritual life. Unless one is raised to the spiritual platform, it is not possible for him to completely transcend all material contamination. Suniti, the mother of Dhruva, was a far-seeing woman, and therefore she advised her son to worship the Supreme Lord and not no one else. The Lord is described here as lotus-eyed Padma Palasa Lochana. When a person is fatigue, if he sees a lotus flower, all his fatigue can be immediately reduced to nil. Similarly, when an aggrieved person sees the lotus face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately all his relief is reduced. Lotus flower is also an insignia in the hand of the Lord Vishnu, as well as the in the hand of goddess of fortune. The worshippers of the goddess of fortune and Vishnu together are certainly very opulent in all respects in every material life. Even in material life, the Lord is sometimes described as a Siva, Siva,
Virinchi Nutam.
Virinchanutam, which means that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also offer their respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God and Narayana. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.
Thanks much. So here, Srila Prabhupada explains very clearly. Many will approach the demigod like for material opulences, even like sometime goddess of fortune also. But even goddess of fortune, the Lakshmi Devi is like always sitting with Lord Narayana. So Suniti is instructing like you don't need to approach anyone but only Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he knows like what has to be given, and he will fulfill your desire. Like so that is how mother is instructing like to surrender to an authority who can deliver or who can provide like what is needed for us. Correct. So that is how like she is instructing Dhruva to approach the right authority. Okay, Hare Krishna. The next sloka, which is last sloka for today's class, I request uh, Suma Mataji to read the sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams.
Hare
Maitreya
Krishna.
uvacha evam sanjalpitam matur akarnya akarnyarthagamam vachah sannim sanniyamyatmanatmanam nishcha nishchakrama pituh purat. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Rohini Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Translation
Hare
consists of Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada teaches. The great sage Maitreya continues. The instruction of Dhruva Maharaja's mother, Suniti, was actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective. Therefore, after deliberate consideration and with intelligence and fixed determination, he left his father's house. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Prashanti Mataji, can you please read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Purport by Srila
Dandavat.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. Both the mother and the son were lamenting Dhruva Maharaj, having been insulted by his stepmother and his fathers, not having taken any step on this issue. But mere lamentation is useless. One should find out the means to mitigate one's lamentation. Thus, both mother and son decided to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord because that is the only solution to all material problems. It is indicated in this connection that Dhruva Maharaja left his father's capital city to go to a secluded place to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the instruction of Prahlad Maharaja also that if one is seeking peace of mind, he should free himself from all contamination of family life and take shelter of the Supreme Godhead by going to the forest. To the Gaudiya Vaishnava, this forest is the forest of Vrinda or Vrindavana. If one takes shelter of Vrindavana under Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radharani, certainly all the problems of his life are solved very easily. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So here again, the Maitreya Muni is instructing like okay, this to the this as like okay, how mother Suniti is actually meant like okay, fulfilling the desired objective for his son. Okay, so Dhruva hearing all these things after that, like with his own intelligence, okay, and he was determined to get this one. At the age of 5, it is impossible for anyone to be this determined, correct? But Dhruva was determined because he he knows like he got insulted, and he is having a lot of lamentation like okay, but that mere lamentation is useless. Like we often get insulted by our subordinates, by our superior peer, okay, by our surroundings, like okay, many a times like we get insulted, but we should never get carried away with those lamentation. Okay, we need to realize, we need to understand, we need to use our intelligence. What is the reason for this lamentation, or what is the reason for this insultation? Insult, how we can get away from that situation. We all know, like in this material world, everything is like, okay, temporary, dukale mashashwadam, correct? So there will not be like any permanent happiness. Everyone wants to be in peaceful mode. Everyone wants happiness, correct? Like okay, but if you are not connected with Krishna consciousness, you can never be happy. That has been very, very authoritatively said by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, correct? In the second chapter, as well as in the fifth chapter, like a Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surdam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Mam Shantim Nigachati. Shantim, like a, if you want peace, like okay, we have to connect to the Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam, like a, who is the benedictor as well as like a benefactor. So we need to surrender to him. Then one another sloka in second chapter, not able to connect the second chapter. This sloka, I'll be able to connect. So if you want happiness, like you want to have peace. If you want to have peace, like okay, you need to connect to the devotional service. So that is how we have to understand, like by connecting to the spiritual devotional service, then only like we can be happy in this material world. Okay. Otherwise, there is no possible of like okay, happiness or peace in this material world. Correct. Every moment is going to be like a more insult, more lamentation has to follow. If we are connected like with material attachment will make us like a lament, will make us like a suffering, more suffering in this material world. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let's go to the slide. Like so, Surati's instruction to Dhruva Maharaj is, please surrender to the right authority. Please take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. He only can give you like what you want, and he will not do any bad things to you. He will always like do what is right for you, good for you, and will make you happy. Okay, so let us see like what is the uh, reason behind like a surrendering to an authority, why we need to surrender. What are the examples like how someone got benefited by surrendering, someone got like okay gone through issues like by surrendering. So we will get to see like in the upcoming uh, 30 to 35 minutes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hope you are able to see my screen. Hare Bol.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
So before starting anything, like let us like glorify Shrimad Bhagavatam. Once again, I thank the organizers like for giving me the opportunity to glorify Shrimad Bhagavatam and to recite Shrimad Bhagavatam. I am very privileged and like blessed to be part of your all association. Please bless me so that the right word comes at the right moment, which would be beneficial for all of our spiritual progress. So we all know like a Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but like a Lord Krishna's transcendental body. In that the canto, it is like a 12 cantos. In the first two cantos represents like a lotus feet of the Lord, uh, which is talking about like the sarga and visarga, the primary and the secondary creation and the portion, like how it is being positioned. The third and fourth canto represents like a Lord's thighs, which is talking about sarga. Where this is where like we are in, where subsequent creation by Brahma, Manu's pastimes of Lord Varaha. So we are just seeing like Lord Swayambhu's Manu's lineage, like how in the fourth canto also up to like fifth canto, we are seeing that. In the fifth canto, like representing Lord's navel, the geography of universe like been explained, Bhumandal and the structure of the universe been explained. Like sixth chapter represents the chest of the Lord, which is talking about like the portion Lord's protection to the people. Uh, to protect like a dharma and devotees. Here, the Ajamila Charitra, Chitraketu, all those pastimes like are coming. Then seventh and eighth canto representing like the arms of the Lord is talking about like a uti, which is the inclination towards like auspiciousness and inauspiciousness inclination. Then eighth canto representing like a manmantra, which is the dynasties of Manu activities of like the Lord during various manmantra. The ninth canto representing like the throat of the Lord, which is talking about Ishanukata. It is like okay how the description of like, okay, sun and moon dynasty, Lord and Lord's devotees like are described here. Then 10th canto representing like, which is the Krishna book, representing the lotus face of the Lord, which is talking about like Ashriya, Lord's Krishna's pastime in Vrindavan, Mathura, Gokul, like, okay, Hastinapur, Krishna's opulence has been explained over like, okay, in the in great detail. The 11th canto representing like the mukti, liberation of the Lord, liberation, which takes like a shelter of Lord's lotus feet are described. How many are like got liberated by taking the shelter of the lotus feet. Then the 12th canto represents, so we are able to see. The 12th canto representing like the head of the Lord is talking about like the 4 kinds of universal annihilation been explained over there. Okay, the layered conversation. Now we are seeing like a Maitreya Muni is explaining to I think Maitreya Muni explaining to not Vidura. Maitreya Muni is explaining to Uddhava, correct? Like, okay, that is what we are seeing. Here, like Lord Krishna is explaining to Brahma, then Brahma narrating that like to Narada, expanding that to Narada. Narada speaking to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva speaking to like a Sukadeva Goswami. Then Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj with Sudha Goswami. Then Sutta Goswami like is speaking to sages of Saunaka Rishi. Then Vaishampayana Rishi, like a narrator to King Janavijaya. Okay. Likewise, the layered conversation, like it is going with layer by layer, like inside the layer by layer, like okay, of Shrimad Bhagavatam conversation. Now with Srila Prabhupada's mercy, all over the globe, like okay, every morning, if you switch on like any ISKCON temple channels, like you can see the Shrimad Bhagavatam being glorified. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So benefits of hearing these pastimes, we need to understand, okay, by hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam, our hearts will be like a clean from the desire for material enjoyment and who has developed to like urge to hear this message. Srinvatam Sakada Krishnaga Punya Shravana Kitaga Hridayantasto hi Abhadrani Vidunodi Sugar Sadam. Okay. Yashyam vai Sriyamanayam Krishne Parama Purushe Bhaktir Utpatiyade Upimshaga Shokamoha Bhayapaha. Like okay, by just giving oral reception, the feeling for loving devotional service will sprout like okay in our heart by and which will extinguish all the fire for the lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. We all, as long as in this material world, like we are having lamentation, illusion, like a fearfulness. But when we just give the oral reception, as you all are doing now, correct? Like, okay, every day you are dedicating time like to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, then definitely like you don't need to have, you will not have any lamentation, no fearfulness, no illusion, like because the Lord is going to appear in our heart and which then we will do the devotional service. Okay, then the Krishna will manifest in the heart very in a short time if we hear seriously, like that has to be understood. Then what's in it for me, like these pastimes being performed to attract the conditioned souls um, uh, to the spiritual world. Okay, for that reason only Lord creates the situation so that these pastimes being performed so that like okay the future generation, future living beings like can hear about this pastime, so they can be able to do the devotional service and they can get back to the spiritual world and they can re-establish the lost relationship with the Lord. It reminds us to remember Krishna, and we have to appreciate and get attracted by hearing this pastime and to aspire like okay to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. We have to realize the Krishna consciousness by using our real eyes via the spiritual master. So these are the Krishna's energy. So in the 4.2, 4.8, like as I mentioned, the whole third and many chapters of third and fourth canto until like okay, fifth also, it is talking about the Swayambhu Manu's dynasty. Okay, Swayambhu Manu has with the Satarupa, like okay, he has 3 daughters, Devahuti, Akuti, and Prasuti. Like okay, all their pastimes being explained like from 3.21 till like okay, 4.2. Then from 4.8 onwards, like okay, Dhruva Maharaj Charitram starts like who is the Uttanapada. Uttanapada has like two wives, Suniti and Suruchi. Via Suniti, like he has son Dhruva, and when Dhruva been denied like to sit on his father's lap, then Suniti is instructing like you need to surrender to the Supreme Lord, and he will guide you like what has to be done and what has to be like what how to fulfill your desire. Even for material desire also, like rather than approaching the demigods, we need to approach like a spiritual the Supreme Lord only, because he will fulfill slowly. Like we may initially ask the material desire, then it will become like a spiritual desire, because we all know material desires like have a end to in this material world. But the spiritual desire, like the spiritual world, there is no end. Like we will be able to live happily there, like eternally, without any issues. Okay, so let's see, like in today's topic, we will cover mainly surrender to an authority. Okay, who is the authority and why we need to surrender? Let us think about it. Like, okay, obviously, in our office or in our home also, we are working for someone, correct? We are working for ourselves, and we are working for someone else also. So in office, like we are working for the company which we work for, and we are working for like our manager, we are working for some customer subordinates. At home, like hey, the Matajis are working for uh, the what to say, like to the son, daughter, as well as like to husband, parents. Likewise, we are working for ourselves, and we are working for like our surroundings. So all these work, like okay, it is temporary, and it have like the manufacturing date and like the expiry date, correct? It has like a start and end date. But if we surrender to the Lord, uh, if we surrender to the spiritual master who passes the message of the Lord, who is the incarnation of like okay the Supreme Lord, then we can we can eternally like be the servant of the Lord. Rather than like I am working for one company now, I'm working for manager X, and moving to the next company, like I will work for manager Y, but I have to be the servant for someone like forever. So rather than being like a servant of so many people, let me be the servant of the Lord and his devotees, which will put me into the eternal place like in the spiritual world. That has to be understood. Point number one. Then how to identify who is authority? The spiritual master or the spiritual teacher who teaches spiritual values, and he will teach like okay the spiritual virtues and the knowledge by default. He becomes the authority to entire humanity. He is not going to be like an authority for one common section of people or one common individual, correct? Like so the spiritual master or spiritual authority is going to be the Jagat Guru. That is the reason, like the Vaishnava Acharyas are called as Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, because he is a universal teacher. They, first of all, like they exhibit the quality of humbleness. Okay, they pass the message of Lord Krishna transparently. They don't mix anything. Okay, depends upon the crowd. I will talk something. I will quote some extra fittings like in the message of the Lord, and I will give it to the people. No, never the case. Okay, their message is unique, and their message is constant. Their message is like a transparently passed to all with good intention. So they are like okay, that is the reason they are called as spiritual authority. The authority is the one like who communicate the message of the Lord confidently and rightly, transparently to all the living beings. It is not for one section of people. That has to be understood very, very importantly. They don't have any personal motive. Okay, I do this lecture delivery because I want to get like a more name, more fame, and I want to get like a more money, more wealth. No, they don't have any kind of personal motives. Okay, they only been called as like, okay, the bona fide spiritual master, because they are nothing but the representation of the Supreme Lord. That has to be understood. That is very, very important. They have their content is pure. They have a good intent. That is very important. Because someone may have good intent, but they may not have the right content, correct? Like, or the pure content. Some the other way are also possible, where someone have like a very, very good intent, sorry, very good content, but they don't have any good intent, correct? So both will not work. So the spiritual master, or like, okay, the authority, will have the right content, because the content is coming from Krishna. They are not going to alter anything. They are not going to add anything. Like, okay, they are not going to interrupt in their own way. That is the reason Srila Prabhupada, though there are many versions of Bhagavad Gita, like a Srila Prabhupada put the name as like a Bhagavad Gita as it is, because the right message from the Lord has to be passed to the future generation. The quoted message or like a contaminated message should never pass. That is very, very important. So that is the reason, like, okay, he put it as Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay. And someone said, like, okay, by reading the commentaries of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, they told Srila Prabhupada, you didn't write anything new. Whatever, like, been told by Ramanujacharya and uh, many other acharyas, Madhvacharya, etc., like all those acharyas, you just like compiled and you given us like a Shrimad Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. So what great thing you have done. Like this is how one person like a question Srila Prabhupada. Then rather than like getting angry or like getting upset for that question, Srila Prabhupada was appreciating. Thanks a lot. Because I passed the right message which been received by the bona fide parampara, bona fide acharyas, and I passed that message to the future generation. I didn't add like my own interpretation. Thanks a lot like for your feedback. So this is how the acharyas given the right mindset, like, okay, while delivering the message from the Lord. Okay, that is very, very important. And they don't have any personal benefits such as like a name, fame, and wealth, or authority over people. Never, never. And be it one person hearing the lecture or 1 lakh audience, Srila Prabhupada was and his disciples are like delivering the lecture in a similar manner, correct? Because so in one of the lecture, like, okay, they called many audience, but hardly like a one or two turned. So at the time, the organizers were like a very, very upset, and they approached Srila Prabhupada, can we cancel today's class, because hardly like only two persons turned up for today's session. So Srila Prabhupada told, no, we are going to speak about Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and we are delivering the message of the Lord. And irrespective of like the audience, many demigods will come and hear the this transcendental message. So never cancel the class. Like, let the class go as per the schedule. So that is what, like, okay, we should not look at, okay, how many audience today attending. So depends upon that, like I can quote or I can change the topic. No, there may be like some something we may need to add rather than like a so much philosophical. If it is neophyte devotees or like a new one who comes to like create some such is construction, then we may need to like emphasize more on chanting and like how to follow the regulatory principles rather than philosophical, like a very high advanced topic. That can be done, like but the message has to be received from the bona fide parampara, and that message has to be like without any sugar coating. It has to be passed to the audience. That is very, very important. That is the reason, like they've been called as supreme personality. Sorry, the superior authority, and they've been called as a representative of Supreme Lord. Okay, so we do have like a managerial authority or administrative authority, and the spiritual authority there is no change in the content, correct? Like whatever been delivered by Srila Prabhupada, or like whatever been delivered by like a Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya, the same message, like the same Bhagavad Gita message been like a transmission, like transmission is happening to the audience, like the same message. It is not changing. The Bhagavad Gita also, like it is the transcendental eternal message. But we do have like a managerial authority or administrative authority who has like a beginning and the end. They have their position. I may be manager for a company. After I leave from the company, someone else will come, and they may change the policy and procedure. But I can't hold that responsibility. Okay, I am the permanent manager for this particular company. No. Even some company owners also like been taken over by other companies, like due to the financial stress and like a situation. So those are like a managerial authority or administrative authority who has like a fixed position, some temporary duration, like okay, they have a fixed start and a fixed end. In that period, okay, the people may respect them, uh, not voluntarily, but out of like okay, what to say, on a personal level, like they have to respect that position, not that person, like but that position. That is how they will treat the managerial authority or the administrative authority. But the spiritual authority, it is not like that. Like even after they leave, like Srila Prabhupada left from this world, or Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya, like left from this world, but still we are quoting them, we are referencing them, whatever pastimes they have done, like whatever teachings they have done. So that is what like the difference between the managerial or administrative authority or spiritual authority. Wherein administrative or like a managerial authority, we will refer them, or we will refer that position like only when they are in the position. After they left from that position, like we will not quote them. The new manager like will bring their own policy and procedure, like that will be in effect, correct? So that is another important thing, like we have to understand. uh, they may they may respect them like as a formality, but not from the heart, okay, as an authority. The purity of intent, character, thought, and purpose, spiritual authority can be quoted at many places. Like we quoting Srila Prabhupada and Madhvacharya, like they, because they had a purity in the content and the intent and like okay, character and the thought. So that is how they've been quoted. So let's see, like okay, spiritual authority, because no one can deny whatever they are saying, like because they speak Krishna's message, which is transcendental, eternal, which is pure. That is very important. As how the 12 Mahajans are, we are quoting like a 12 Mahajans or Sad Goswami, like a Sikh Goswamis, or like a Guru Parampara. So all of them, like even today we are quoting them. In future also they will be quoted. In the past also, like they have been quoted because they pass the message of the Lord, which is pure. So no one can deny their uh, existence or like their message, because it comes from Krishna. So that is a main difference between like the managerial or administrative authority and the spiritual authority. Hare Krishna. So we see like one another example where King Bharata Maharaj, like okay, when he was king, he was ruling how many years? Like any idea how much time King Bharata Maharaj was ruling the kingdom?
1 crore, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it is 1,000 into 10,000 years. Okay, which is massive, correct? Like okay, so that time the King Raghugana was a king for very small portion of like under the Bharat Maharaj, correct? So King Raghuna, like he was the responsible king for a very small portion of the land. So then we all know like a Bharat Maharaj past time, like he wanted to go to a secluded places, like okay, to have the spiritual practice, devotional thing, like to perform. And he went to the forest, like there he got attracted to a deer, correct? So the king who was ruling like these many years, he left everything to come and do the devotional service in the forest, but now he is getting attracted to the deer. And while the deer was like going away from him, like he was thinking about the deer, and he left his world. The next life, like he becomes the deer, and he's lamenting like what I have done. I came here to perform devotion service, but now I wasted my life. Like, okay, now I am in this deer form, so let me go to that ashram again. Like then he was thinking about that, and like he left the deer form. Then he becomes like as a Jada Bharat. Okay, the next life, like as a Jada Bharat, he wants to just like okay perform the devotion service. He don't want to have any other intention to perform like a material activities at all. So at the time, like he is meeting okay, King Raghugana. Okay, at the time he been questioned like because he while carrying the Raghugana on the palanquin, he was like moving here and there because down like he see some ants or like some other insects like going. He don't want to disturb them, so he is moving here and there. At the time, like King Raghugana got very upset, and he is scolding Jada Bharat. The time Jada Bharat is like, okay, explaining like, okay, who are you? Who is the authority? So at the time, the Raghuna is saying, okay, I'm the king for this entire kingdom. So at the time, like, okay, the Jada Bharata is thinking, because I am the king of the all the kings, but now I am into this position. Like, okay, so the eternal master, eternal uh, permanent master is like a only Krishna, and only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to surrender to him. That is how King Raghuvana been getting the instruction from Jada Bharat. Okay. So that has to be understood. We can be like, okay, very great in our position now, but if we are not surrendering to Lord, we can go into that particular mode of like a Jada Bharat. We never know like what form we are going to get in our next life. So that has to be understood. So that is the reason like we have to think, okay, only in this life, in this human form of life, I need to go back to the spiritual world. I don't want to take rebirth in this material world at all, because we never know like what form we are going to take in the next life. So that has to be like okay understood, and it has to be practiced. So, because Maya's door will open and catch if we identifies like a, with that role. Okay, I am the CEO of this company. I have like a, this much in my bank, and I am very very wealthy, and I can control anything, and I can control like a 50 employees. If we hold that position, then we are nothing but like a Maya affected person. Then tough to come out from this situation. Like that has to be understood. We have to be very very cautious of Maya. One time like a Srila Prabhupada been praying to Lord. At the time the disciple asking Srila Prabhupada, like you are the supreme the spiritual master, what are you paying? Like, what are you praying to Lord? Then immediately, like Shrila Prabhupada was saying, like, I told Lord to protect us from Maya, but to protect me and my disciples, and like all the living entities, like to protect from Maya. Then disciple was questioning, like, okay, how you are doing devotion service, but why you are worrying about Maya? Then Srila Prabhupada said, like, Maya is so strong. At the end of the day, like it is an energy of Krishna. So if we are not firm in our Krishna consciousness, Maya can attack any time. We had seen examples like a just a flickering second, a great devotee becomes like a fall down to the Maya's play, correct? Vishwamitra, who was doing like okay, n number of years tapas, but just that ankling sound, uh, the tinkling sound, like okay, made him fall for like okay, Maya. Same as Ajamila. Okay, okay. Likewise, so many examples that we have seen. So we have to be very, very cautious of Maya, and we have to be always surrender to the Lord, always take the shelter of the spiritual authority. That has to be understood. So we know, like, okay, the demon Hiranyakashipu or the king Vena. okay, they were forcing all their kingdom to accept him as the spiritual identity, because by forcefully they were asking all the living beings, all the humans under like okay their kingdom. They were forcefully like okay asking them to prize Hiranyakashipu or King Vena, and the people are like okay not accepting with their heart, but they have to just like accept it. They were praising like okay, Hiranyakashipu or King Vena. Okay, that is not, they are not, they can't be called as like a spiritual authority. They can be called as like an administrative authority who is forcing the common man like to accept them as a authority. Because a spiritual identity, like okay, they invoke the love, respect, faith to the subordinates even after they leave from the body, like as from this material world also, like they will be quoted. But the Hiranyakashipu, King Vena, like many others who didn't perform the devotion service, who given a lot of torture to like their common man, they will be also quoted, but for a wrong reason. Okay, that has to be understood. Then uh, the spiritual authority will induce like the voluntary acceptance in the subordinates, unlike like a forceful or conditional acceptance like a by others, other fake authority. Okay, it is their ability, as well as like okay, more than that ability, their humility will attract others like a voluntarily to surrender to them. That is very very important. We have seen like a many kings, many teachers, many personalities like who influenced the others as a spiritual line, authority, like Parikshit Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, like Amrish Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj, King Nabi, like okay, King Rishabh Dev, everyone. They uh this they've been like as a role model for others, okay, by their ability as well as like their humility to serve the Lord and his devotees. Okay, so finally we have to understand like a first and final, we have to understand Supreme Lord is the ultimate authority. Okay, and all who are faithfully follow Supreme Lord, like okay, they also have to be considered as authority. Okay, so till now we have seen who is authority, why we need to surrender to them, what are the benefits of like a surrendering to them, because they take the uh, vow, like okay, if someone surrenders to me, the spiritual master takes the vow to uh, to bring or to taken the soul like okay back to the Godhead, their disciples like back to the Godhead. So that has to be understood. Like so, what is who is authority? Who's a spiritual authority? Who is administrative or like okay the managerial authority? And what is the benefit of like a surrendering to them? All these things we have seen. What are the characteristics of like okay, the superior authority we have seen, or spiritual authority? Okay, let's see like okay, how to be submissive to authority. Okay, various pastimes like how and why they were so submissive to those authority. Like let us see in some of the pastimes. Okay, we all know Yudhishthira Maharaj like he was ruling the kingdom in Indraprastha, and they were happily ruling at the time. The managerial responsibilities were very very less, because they taken care of the people properly, and no crimes being committed. Okay, everyone was living peacefully at the time. Vidura comes to Indraprastha, and he has a message to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he is saying to Yudhishthira Maharaj, like, hey, you have been called to meet Dhritarashtra, okay, to come to Hastinapur. And he's happily accepting, okay, fine, I can come. But Vidura is saying, okay, no, they are asking you to come to play the gambling match in the royal assembly. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj is thinking, why I need to come for to play the gambling match. I can come to meet and greet my family members, but why I need to come for the gambling match? Then Vidura says the same question I asked to Dhritarashtra, but he is adamant like to bring you all. I think the intention is to make you play the match and to lose the kingdom, to usurp the kingdom. This is what like okay, the intention I hope, but you just like respond to that particular message. So then immediately like Yudhishthira Maharaj is thinking. As a Kshatriya, he has like two reasons to go to Hastinapur. Because first of all, like okay, he don't want to disrespect Dhritarashtra. Because at the end of the day, like a brother of his father, who is Dhritarashtra, is King Pandu's father. Sorry, brother. So he don't want to disrespect like okay the his fatherly Dhritarashtra's order or request. Okay. The second thing is he don't want as Kshatriya, if any challenge has been thrown in front of you, uh, they should not reject. If he rejects or if he says, okay, I don't want to play, then others may ridicule. Okay, I think out of fear, you are not going to Hastinapur. So you can be called as coward, like you are not a Kshatriya. So these two things, like he don't want to hear, though he know that like okay, it is inappropriate request comes, which is not going to be making them happy. But still, he considers like okay, Dhritarashtra as an authority, and he more than that, like he thinks that okay, something is going to happen, but Lord want to play something like let me go. So out of that respect, he goes to the Hastinapur. Then in front of him, like the challenge has been thrown, you will play with Shaguni. Then he's saying, okay, why? I also don't know, like I am not expert in this one, like a gambling match. Same like Duryodhana also. But Duryodhana says, okay, Shaguni will play on behalf of me. You please, like, okay, play. So Dhritarashtra, sorry, Yudhishthira Maharaj is playing like a out of his. Um, it is not in it is inappropriate, but still he goes for it just to give the respect. Like he just respect the Dhritarashtra's order or like a request. So in this initial phase, we may think that okay, because many didn't like that Pandavas playing the gambling match, correct? But Yudhishthira Maharaj, like being put into that situation, it is by the will of the Lord. Okay, initially they may go through struggle, but when they surrender to the Lord, like they are able to come out of that situation in a very, uh, very effective manner. Okay, so that is what like this pastime represents. Often we may put into like a distress condition which may not be like appropriate for us to go through that situation. We have not done anything wrong, but still we have been put into that situation. We have to surrender to the Lord so that Lord will take us out of that situation in a very effective manner. So that has to be understood. Huh? Uh, at the end of the day, like he exhibited submissive to the authority. He submissively like okay adhere to the request of Dhritarashtra. Okay, from this pastime we can understand. The next pastime, where one woman's like okay envy, the mantra's envy, put Kaikeyi into very greedy state, correct? Like okay, so mantra is like okay influxing or contaminating like the thoughts of Kaikeyi. And she's asking like you request two boons from Dasara Maharaj. One is to make Bharat as king. Second is like to send Ram to forest for 14 years. Okay. So here, then before the coronation of like okay, Rama, Lord Rama, then Kaikeyi is asking like these two boons. He's just making Dasarath remembers like these two boons. Immediately, like Lord Ram comes that place. and he happily accepting. Okay. He is here also like it is very inappropriate request at the very wrong time, but Lord Ram accepting. Okay. Acharyas saying they are interpreting in a different way, such as okay, since in Ayodhya, Lord Ram and Sita may not have like a very happy or like a very secluded life, because they will be surrounded with all the devotees and like all the common people. So in the forest, at least like for 13 years, they Sita might become with Lord Ram. So that is how like acharyas are interpreting. But the main thing is like how Lord Ram uh, is ready to accept the inconvenience to him and like to Mother Sita, though all the other surroundings, like okay, the Ayodhya Vasis, then Vishwamitra, Vashishta, like everyone is commenting bad about like Kaikeyi, and they are they are very angry, like okay, including Bharat Maharaj, like okay, no one wants Ram to go to forest, correct? But Lord Ram accepts that because he don't want to, again for two reasons. He don't want to put Kaikeyi into bad state, because if he asks why I need to go to forest, what wrong I have done, one question to Kaikeyi or Dasar Maharaj, like then Kaikeyi's bad intention will be projected to the world, though it has already been like a projected. But if Ram asked that question, it would be like a very explicitly projected. That is point number one. Point number two, he don't want to disobey like whatever instruction or like whatever boon Dasar Maharaj given to Kaikeyi, he don't want to overrule that. So for that reason, uh, he is okay to go through the inconvenience, though it is very inappropriate situation. Okay, so that is how like okay, the Lord Ram surrenders to the Dasara Maharaj uh, instruction, and like he taken him as a spiritual authority. So these two examples like may not be very uh, pleasant for other people, but they exhibited this, okay, because sometimes we may go through tough time in life, like but the end would be like okay, perfect. So not we may not get like the happy moment all the time. So we have to go through this kind of situation, so that like okay, things would be like okay, given as teachings or the lesson for the future generation. Okay, that has to be understood. Hare Krishna. Let's go to the next pastime, where Parshuram been asked by his father, like a Jamadagni, to kill his mother, Renuka, and other brothers. Yes, so at the time, Parshuram had a option like, okay, let me not not accepting this request, but he thinks that okay, it would be good, like okay, let me do this, because initially like the Jamadagni is asking his brother, sorry, all the sons, like all the sons were not accepting that. Then finally, like Parashuram is accepting that. Parshuram accepting that, like okay, and he killed his mother and brother. That time, like okay, Jamadagni is happy, and he's asking the boon. He's giving the boon to Parshuram. You can ask the boon. Then immediately Parshuram says, okay, I want my mother and the brothers back. Correct. So that is how, like okay, if he is submissive to the authority, initiate for some time, like they may go through their hard time, which is not appropriate at all, like a pleasant to others, but the end result, like okay, can be better, and it would be like okay, better. So in that manner, like we can understand this pastime also. Then the next one, the similar way, like Durvasa Muni and Ambrisha Maharaj. So Ambrisha Maharaj, like didn't do anything wrong, he just had a sip of water because he don't want to miss the Parayan time. At the time, like all the other acharyas are saying, having water is equal to like a not having also. So you can have when Durvasa Muni comes, like okay, he thinks that okay, Amrish Maharaj didn't obey my instruction, like he didn't wait for me to return. He completed his Dwadashi Parayana. So at the time, he created like the fire demon, and he's trying to kill Amrish Maharaj. So Amrish Maharaj, like okay, without any fear, like he's surrendering to Durvasa Muni. So at the time, like a Lord comes with a Sudarshan Chakra, and is trying to kill Durvasa Muni. So here also, Amrish Maharaj, like okay, we can see the submissiveness for him, like as though it is like okay, not a pleasant situation, but still he submissively like okay, surrendering to the spiritual authority. So then the next pastime where the persons like a not submissive to the spiritual authority. In Bali Maharaj, the case, we know that like okay, when the Vamana Deva is asking the three pieces of land at the time, Sukracharya is cautioning Bali Maharaj, I think like you are going to fall for a prey. Please, like okay, do not give the bone to him. Like do not accept his request. So at that time, Bali Maharaj is like a overriding Sukracharya's message because he knows that if Supreme Lord or like a Brahmana is asking anything, I have to give. Whatever comes, like I am ready to accept it. Like okay, because he knows the higher purpose. He is able to envision the higher purpose. Okay, the similar situation is like okay, when Maharaj Nimi been approached by Vasishta Maharaj or Vasishta Muni when he want to perform yajna, but at the time Vasishta Muni is saying, okay, no, I already committed to Indra, so I will take 500 years to finish that yajna. Okay, you wait. But then Nimi is saying, okay, no, I can't wait because all the things I arranged for a yajna will not be like okay fruitful for like 500 years. So I have to continue the yajna. So when Vashta Maharaj, like Vashta Muni comes to know, then he becomes like okay, angry and he curses Maharaj Nimi, and in turn like a Maharaj Nimi curses Vashishta Muni. So here he didn't wait for like a Vaishnav because Vaishnav at that time had a personal intent because he want to get the fame and the remuneration like a from Indra as well as like a from Maharaj Nimi. So this is another example we can think like okay how the great personality like didn't agree for the spiritual authority. I'm getting a little late. Like so one another final example we can see like how because recently like we celebrated the disappearance of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, spiritual master of our Srila Prabhupada. So how Srila Prabhupada met him and how he got the instruction to pass the to preach the message of like okay the Lord to the West, and how he taken that into heart, and how he exhibited that, and how he taken how he take Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura's instruction to his heart, and he exhibited that like by establishing uh, Krishna consciousness all over the world, and he established so many temples. Okay, that also like a great example for us, like how he submissively like he surrendered to the spiritual authority. Okay, so Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura like given 45 plus like a final instructions. I request everyone to go through that final instructions. Like we don't have time at this moment. I'll read one or two. All of you preach the message of Rupa and Raghunatha to everyone with great enthusiasm. May the ultimate desire to become a speck of dust at the lotus feet of the followers of Sri Rupa remain even ever awake in our hearts. Okay. So Rajendra Nandan Krishna is the principle of non-dual consciousness. So this how like a the 45 plus like instructions been given here. Please like say go through this and every day like we try to imbibe this consciousness, and we have to practice this consciousness. With that, I end today's session. Key points like a submission to right spiritual authority will give us spiritual advances. Vaishnava Acharya is a Jagat Guru. Okay, they are universal teacher. Then the purity of content, intent, everything has to be like, okay, for the welfare of the common man. That is how like they are not have any personal intention. And refer and remember the final instructions of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, and how to be submissive to authority by whatever pastimes we have gone through, like some of the pastimes. Please like remember that, and like be submissive to supreme and superior authority. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Sorry for taking like a little extra time. So if you feel anything good from this presentation and from this lecture, like all glories to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples and like the previous acharyas. If you found anything wrong being communicated or like conveyed, please, that is due to my ignorance, and please forgive me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam. Yeah, any questions?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
ask. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji,
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
wonderful class. Prabhuji, I just wanted to know, was Bharat Maharaj was not a surrendered, Prabhuji, not surrendered to Krishna?
No, Maji, he surrendered to Krishna, but he was chosen by the Lord, okay, to exhibit that pastime, so that like the future generation knows, okay, at the end of end of our life, or the throughout our life, like we need to surrender to the Lord. Okay, otherwise it is impossible for someone who rule the kingdom for like those many years to get attracted to a deer, correct? Like he relinquished everything, all the comfort, all the wealth, all the fame, etc., etc. He relinquished everything to come to the level of like performing devotional service in forest in a secluded place. But at the time, like he's getting attracted to a deer, correct? It is impossible for anyone like but he been put into that situation by Supreme Lord, so that the pastimes can happen, so that the right message can pass to the future generation. Okay, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, in connection to this, when we do bhakti, it has been guaranteed like that our next life will be a human birth. We cannot even take chance like that, no, Prabhuji? Like whatever happens in our next life, we are not sure.
Yeah,
But
correct.
God
Yeah.
will give the protection only to the bhakti what we have done in this life, isn't it, Prabhuji? This is what we can learn from Bharata Maharaj.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we have to reach supreme law about like in this life. We don't want, okay, I want Krishna and I want something else. No. Her Grace Urmila Mataji very nicely said in one of her class, we wanted like, hey, I want Krishna and I want like my family plus like my fame, my position, etc., etc. No, we want Krishna. That bhakti has to be like a anya abhinashita sunyam, jnana karmadi anavratam anukulyana krishnanu sheelanam bhakti ruttama. Like okay, it is the uttama bhakti is we should not have any contaminated thing like while we pray to Lord. Krishna, I am yours. Please guide me like what I have to do. Krishna, I want like a good house. I want like a good job. So likewise, we should not have the contaminated or like adulterated bhakti. That's what Savai Pumsam Parodharmo Yado Bhakti Radokshade. Ahaituki apratigata yayatma suprasidati. Ahaituki. It has to be like okay, apratigata. Ahaituki means like without any self-motive. Apratigata. It should not have any disturbance. Like it has to be continuous. That is the real bhakti. That is the topmost like a devotion service we can perform in this one. And in this life, like we have to go back to God. That has to be our motive. We don't need to worry about like, okay, or we should not think, okay, future plan. No, I don't know. I may die at this moment. Let me use the time effectively to the Supreme Lord. That has to be our motive.
Hare
So that is the
Krishna.
reason, like they say, always perform devotion service. Like it is constantly, nityam, satatam. Okay, likewise it has been said, nirantara. So we don't know like what is going to happen when Vishwamitra able to fall at a moment of like the sound from Urmila, like Urvasi. It is possible for everyone and anyone like to fall from the great position. So we have to be very, very cautious of Maya. Okay, Mataji? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we have to do that Ahaituki Bhakti and Anya Abhilashita Shunyam also we should be like. So
Yes,
Prabhuji,
yes,
in Dhruva
yes.
Maharaj's pastimes, it is main thing that we can see the glory of the Lord, like he gives all that he wanted, Prabhuji, like for Dhruva
Yeah.
Maharaj. So I just wanted to know, Prabhuji, like Dhruva Maharaj did not have any, he just wanted to please the Lord, Prabhuji, but he went in
No, initially
he
he
had
was,
wants, no, Prabhuji. Like.
yeah, no, Maji. Initially he went to get a bigger kingdom than his father. But when he was performing devotion service, all these material contaminations like have been removed. When the Lord appeared in front of him, he is saying, Lord, I am asking the broken glass pieces, such as the kingdom, when I am seeing in front of me the diamond, like a precious diamond, like you. Then he was not interested like in that kingdom at the time when Lord appeared. But Lord given because he want to fulfill the desire of the devotee. So we may ask like 100 rupees to Lord, but when he is ready to give like more than 100,000 to us, because the spiritual abode, the spiritual world where we are going to go is unparalleled. We can't compare anything like but we are asking here, Lord, can you please like give me one piece of land, one piece of like a jewel, one piece of like the job, likewise. So when we do the devotion service, slowly like we may start with material attachment, material desires, but slowly like when we are doing that, all those cheto darpana marjanam, like all those contaminations will be like going away, and we will be able to do the anya abhilashita sunyam jnana karma dhyana vritam. Okay.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna,
much,
Mataji.
Prabhuji. But
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So we'll
Krishna,
end the
Mataji.
class here, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Mataji. Thanks a lot,
Vancha
Mataji.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah ananta koti vaishnavamiti ki jai. Shrila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Prabhuji, pranams, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna to everyone. Shall I end the
Thank
session,
you,
Prabhu?
Mataji.
Yes, Maji, Hare Krishna.